We are now live in the studios. Well, morning, it is 79 degrees. It's sunny, Ore Valley, Arizona. Um, so, on the topics for today are going to be, and it always starts with my VA stuff, right? So, I have to advocate for myself, and that's what I'm doing. I'm utilizing the live streaming to get some help. I need the help. It's been a little less or somewhat 10 years that my family and I have been battling to try to get some assistance to deal with my medical situation. Okay. Now, um, I like to usually just discuss one topic. It gets too complicated to start to switch, going back and forth about this, going back and forth about that, and it gets confusing, right? Like I want to cover everything in one stream. It's absurd, right? So we're going to discuss one topic, and on the topic, it's going to be I have it right here. It's going to be our elected officials and their uh, benefit as being elected officials and their status of having um, the authority we give them. So they have a benefit of being elected officials. And it's a big deal because they're not subject to certain things and certain, well, let's say they're given a leniency. Okay, when you elect them, they have certain privileges, and by God, they use them. All right, so that's why when things don't seem to be getting done, is because of that. All right, they live on this stuff. So we'll discuss a little bit of that in and out of our elected politicians. All right, but first, let's see if we could throw some jam time in because you all just like to be entertained. It's all about being entertained. Without being entertained, you guys wouldn't be interested in nothing. So I got my breakfast. All right, and let's see if we can hold the beat down and give you guys a little intro to Moss streaming. I'm gonna go ahead and start the rock and roll. All right, pretty cool, huh? I'm a, you know, I'm entertaining like that. It's free. You ain't got to pay for it. So here's my sidekick. It is the bomb. See that? The bomb right there. That's right. I play it. I try to play it, and I got all these issues now, medical issues that prevent me from being, the Eddie Van Halen that I am. God bless his soul, right? Um, so on the disability portion, um, I've been going on dealing with this stuff for about almost 10 years. Right, 10 years of medical neglect. All right, and that's just one of the issues I'm dealing with. Over the years, um, things have presented itself like possible, medical malfeasance, misdiagnosis. I've been treated, not fair through the VA. I love the VA. The VA is great. It's a good thing that we have it in our country. It helps veterans. Is created to just do that out of the freedom, right? We provide so we can have stuff like that, and it's a fantastic organization through our government, right? It's a governmental run program. So, so what happens? So what happens when you have an issue and the issue is not taken care of through the federal government, through the VA, when you are a veteran, right? Medical issues, usually mental, physical, that sort of thing. All right. So what happens is the VA is a huge organization. Okay, a lot of folks don't know that it's huge. All right, it's bigger than you can think of. How would you compare the VA to other businesses like civilian businesses? Facebook, the VA is 10 times bigger than Facebook. Facebook is popular, but it's not as big as government run organization. It's just not. All right. So, and the VA has, I mean, it's a living, breathing thing because you have living, breathing people in it that they need to be addressed. So when something comes up that's not right, well, then the government needs to adjust, right? They need to create policy just like any other organization. So, but it's so huge that the problem with it being that big is that after after dealing with it for a while, or trying to learn about the VA, you don't recognize that or how it's being operated, right? You see people in and out just like any other hospital. It's you think things are being taken care of every single day, that you would like to see taken care of. You wouldn't understand how obvious issues in the veteran organization through the Veterans Administration are not taken care of. And when that happens, it's all controlled by policy, procedures, because it's so huge that without the policies and procedures, it would be chaos, right? You would have just um, all sorts of things going wrong. So you have to create policy to control the mass of the VA, right? Okay. So now that we understand that, and that's how businesses run, you know, more private businesses take care of more simple issues, but in government run operations, okay, government run operations, these these policies apply across the board. So if you have a unique situation, and this is where I get into it. If you have a unique situation where the policies and procedures don't apply to you in some way, it still controls your issue. And so you're trying to weave through, hey, I understand the policy is this, but this is my situation and it's unique. So, how do you guys how does the VA, how do you, take care of something that is under the policy, but yet needs to be, uh, how can I say, needs to be adjusted to my unique situation? Well, that's how the government runs. The government doesn't care about, every single person's issue, right? It's a platform across the board for everything. Okay, so in the military, it's the same way. The military is the same way. If you have an issue, well, the policy will take care of it. All right, the policy is this is what we do, this is how we handle it, and it's across the board for everybody. So if you have a situation that you feel is unique, you can forget about it. It's taken care of, and everybody is taken care of the same way under the same policy, no matter what your situation is. Okay, it don't matter. So that's where I get stuck. That's where I come in. Okay, and when you're in this position, it's very difficult to manage and deal with. All right, very very difficult to have it addressed under this general platform that I have to deal with. Okay, and when that happens, people that work under these policies, they have to make sure that they're following their job rules and regulations, right? Or else you get canned, or you get written up, or so they will not waive have any whatsoever jeopardize their job just because of you. That's the way it happens, folks, and that's the way it happens in civilian world too, right? So as long as we understand that, then I can move on with explaining to you why I'm dealing with this thing for such a long time. You would think that it would be addressed, right? You would think that it would be addressed. That somehow, some way, somebody or some sort of policy would pick up on it and say, you know, let's follow through with this issue and let's put you in the category of this is what we have to do with your type of folk and your issue. You would think that's what would happen, right? Like that would be an option under these rules and regulations with the government. You think that that's what would happen. Well, doesn't happen. It doesn't happen, and it hasn't happened to me, right? And it hasn't happened to a lot of veterans. Okay, some veterans, and well, some veterans don't. They don't care for fighting for it, right? They don't care. They think that this is a normal thing. Like this is what's supposed to happen. Okay, it's like, well, the government's in control, so what am I to do? How am I supposed to deal with this? Okay, there's folk like that. Veteran are just people. Okay, they're just folks. So it's very difficult. It's been very difficult. I have been dealing with it, and of course, my family they don't understand as much as I'm trying to deal with it. So in my situation, um, I had sustained some injuries, and I'll start with it. I have sustained some injuries between 2009 and 2010, Iraq. Okay. Uh, Two injuries. I had three injuries, but two injuries are severe. I had two head injuries, one to the side, one on top. The one on top, I had some unconsciousness with the one on top. Had huge bump on my head, and then the one on the side just added to the overall injury. My back injury was also created with the side injury to the head, dealing with IEDs. Okay, everybody wants to hear the story. You want to hear the story of, oh my God, what is it? Was it a heroin experience? What did you do? This James Bond type thing. Everybody always wants to hear the story, the how you got the injury, and then it means more, right? Like it's more validated. Well, it doesn't matter. Okay, the disability that I have to deal with, okay, is severe. It's damning. It's critical to how I live day by day, right? And that's what it is. That's the reality of it. Okay, like Wounded Warrior Project, for example, they get the worst of the worst, right? They like to exploit, and I'm going to use the word exploit because that's what they do. I'm not saying they don't help veterans; they do help veterans, but they also exploit for their own purpose to run the business. Okay, um, so when you have that, you have to have a story to sit there and TV and beg basically for assistance, which in my belief we shouldn't be. We shouldn't be begging for anything. You know, you if you're in a situation like myself and you have a severe disability, um, you would think that it will get noticed, and we shouldn't be in this position to start asking for all this assistance from our own people that are paying for the same government run organization supposed to take care of us, right? It's supposed to deal with all these things. What do you need? I don't know what the Wounded Warrior program, they're always, oh, we don't leave anybody behind. We can help you with this. We can help you with that. If it wasn't for the Wounded Warrior program, that's what we should be dealing with in the VA, right? The VA should be overextending itself if need be to to address those issues, right? You already pay into the VA to help to have something like the Window Reward program be the norm in the VA. That's what the VA should be doing. The VA should be promoting its own self to run like the Wounded Warrior Project, right? Get the veterans and have a commercial, right? And be like, we're the VA, we're the best in the country, we're the best in the world. We take care of our veterans, and that, my friends, would help people, especially at this time, join the military. Right now, we're having a problem with with people joining the military. We're having a problem. They don't want to join the military. I wonder why. Right? Because here I am, a person crying, complaining about I'm not getting the proper care, which I'm not, through the VA. And if somebody picks up on this that wants to join the military, they're going to think twice about it. And then you got all these other political issues going on these days with it, right? All this CRT, the critical race theory. I think that's what you call it, right? And other stuff. Men being women, and that affects everything. That affects everything, right? Yeah. So that's a big issue, and that's why I address the VA the way I address it. I don't address the VA just to hate it. I'm not like that. I learned to live with the military. The military has taught me lots of things. The military, I understand, is a very neutral, general thing to get you acclimated to serving your country. Okay, It's not there to pat you on the back and comfort you and all of this. No, it's a very general organization that needs you to be a certain way so that way you can handle the worst of the worst, right? That's what it's there for. But now we got all this other stuff going on. So that's what I'm saying. If the VA would have its own commercials, not this, go to the VA. Do like the Wounded Warrior program. You know, I would be more than happy to be a advocate for the VA if they would do that, right? Because that is what you guys pay for. That's what the people pay for, right? That's what we all pay for. We pay for the veterans to be veterans and their family to be taken care of, right? And when they're not, then it's very difficult to get the information of why they're not. You see? And when you're a busy person, when you're a civilian working and you want to get information, how do you get it? Where are you going to get it? You're not going to get, you know, you're not going to get the details of what's going on. All you know is that you vote and you elect your elect your dignitaries to help you, in deciding what gets done, what gets taken care of in your cities, your states, and the country. And you put all your faith and you basically um, you support this individual to do the right thing, right? And that way things are taken care of, and that way you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to sit there and say, well, we don't have anybody helping our veterans. Well, it's not true. You have an elected official that you put out all your your hope and your all that stuff, that you support him, that they're going to do the right thing. They're always going to be fighting, right? Well, it doesn't happen like that, folks. It don't happen like that. Unfortunately, it don't happen like that. That's why the organization itself, the Veterans Administration, the organization itself needs to be its own, right? Its own purpose, its own advocate, its own media to let the people know that this is what's going on, right? They need to also um, take care of their own what do you call it, their own identity. They have to have a like everybody else, you have to have you got to work with me. I have TBI, slow memory issue. You want other people to think good of you, right? So the VA has to do that also. Okay. So with my disability, I have a TBI, right? I have a TBI. Um, I get very frustrated. I've always been a person to try to address my frustration and all that kind of stuff, but I've been really good at it. My disposition is I'm that type of person. All right, I was born that way. God made me that way, and that's the way it is. I've been very fortunate that I like to address those things before I do something that I'm going to regret. Right, I'm always a thoughtful person in that way. So my TBI, they call it a central nervous system dysfunction. Okay, now if you think about your central nervous system, what do you think about? Not a lot of people know about central nervous system dysfunction or central nervous system. You just think it's some vein or something, right? No, it's your actual nervous system that is your main motor function that helps your body move. It helps you live. It's sensitive. It's alive. It picks up on things. It does things for you that you have no idea it does. But it's very crucial, if not the most crucial thing that you know you that operates in your body. Okay, so the central nervous system dysfunction. When I got back from my tour in Iraq, 2009, 2010, I had sustained those injuries. Like I said, one on the side, one on the top, and my back injury. I had some other minor injuries, but they didn't. That's nothing to discuss yet. And so my back injury was the worst hurting issue that I had sustained overseas, and it was really bad. I was trying to work it out when I got injured to stretch it out, and ibuprofen, and that's what I do because I was a trooper. I'm a trooper, right? Not a big deal, and it was pretty bad. So I would get locked up. I mean, literally lock when I would try to stretch it out or move. I was having a lot of problems with trying to get it to not be a problem, right? And so, a lot of times people are like that. We're like that, right? We're all like that. At some point, we're tough, and we don't want to be weak, right? You get a toothache, you want to stick it out as long as you can, and find out why you have toothache first, right? It could be just a sensitive tooth. You need a little this and a little that, but we're tough. We're tough people, right? And so in my position, I was born that way. That's the kind of person I am. I had a fracture. I'll give you an example. And this is the way I've been all my life. I fractured both my tibia. You'll look that up. The tibia in your knees while in basic training. Jumping out of trucks with 60 pounds, 100 pounds, and so I fractured both of those, and I still moved on with not quitting to graduate from basic training while I had these fractured tibias. Okay, and it was mild to they classified it as a mild fractured tibia, but I don't care what they say. Mild is bad. I had to, man, it was terrible. But I still graduated. I ran. I did my two-mile run and passed it with fractured tibia. Okay, so that's who I am. And so when I got injured, sustained my injury overseas, the back injury was 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 overshadowing anything I had that had to do with the TBI. I'm sure I was having issues with the TBI. I just could not recognize it because the back injury was so bad. I was thinking the back injury was everything. That's how bad it was. All right. Again, I'm the kind of guy, fractured tibia, graduated from basic training with two fractured tibias. Two, not one, two. Okay. So after I had surgery, when I got back from my tour, because I just couldn't take the pain anymore. All right. Then the TBI started to manifest itself. I started to recognize that there's something going on. What's going on here? I said, what in the, I mean, really, I started losing function of my left leg. All right. I got the drop foot. I was thinking, man, what in the heck? What's going on here? What's going on? Right? And I thought it was the back because here's the back. I had surgery, so it's like, oh, it's the surgery that's causing the drop off, right? That's, yeah. Why not? That's the most logical thing to think of. Well, shortly after that, and I was working, and this is part of the other problem, and I'll get into that later. But I was working with the guard on the border mission. Operation Copper Cactus is what it was. Operation Phalanx it turned into, and all sorts of other names. I was working on that, got surgery during that, and I was able to get onto that job. Okay, because I had, these issues with it, but it wasn't the issue I had with the back. Yes, this was before I got surgery. Uh, no one evaluated it properly. Well, before I got onto the job, in the military, they're very strict about that. And it wasn't evaluated properly. But I know they needed people, so I said, "Hey, I have this back injury, but I think it could be taken care of. I'm getting some therapy for it," and I was getting some therapy for it. I was getting some shot, some injections, and so the people said, "Yeah, if it gets worse, just let us know." Well, obviously, the back injury was aggravated during this time while I was working, right? But the main issue isn't that, is the aggravation. It's not. The main issue isn't the aggravation of the back injury. It is not. What it was that I had a TBI. Okay, it was a festering issue in my brain that just needed to be aggravated. In other words, right? It was my main issue, not the back injury. Even though the back injury was pounding, damn, y'all know how that is. It was pounding, right? It was not the back injury that was my main issue. It was the TBI, right? And that's what I'm dealing with now. Okay, that's why this has had become so difficult, and so I started losing the functions of my body parts. The first leg left first, and then the buttocks, and then it moved over to the right leg, and then the buttocks, and then it started going up my back a little bit, and then then I started losing other functions. I started losing functions in my eyes. They don't go side to side or up, but they totally go down. My neck is the same thing. You'll see that I turn this way. I can only do that. My arm, my full left arm, right arm is dysfunctional. My left arm is starting to be dysfunction, but I'm taking really good care of it, making sure that my central nervous system doesn't get rid of it. And I'll explain that to you why I say that. I got other issues, just detailed issues that are, they're just, it's just, a long story, right? So I got about 85 to 90% motor dysfunction. What does that mean? What in the hell does that mean? Well, motor dysfunction means that I can't move it properly. It doesn't move voluntarily. So if I'm sitting here, and I'll give you an example. If I'm sitting here, here's my good arm. Not even going to discuss the other dysfunctions, which are worse. Here's my good arm. Now, if you see, if I just sit still, I'm giving you guys an example of what I deal with day in and day out. Okay, here I am, right? If I want to move my left arm, I can't move it just sitting here voluntarily. I can sort of give whatever moves, whatever works. I can sort of kind of move it, but that's all I got right there. Now, in order to move my left arm, I have to activate my entire central nervous system. In order to move it fully, I have to jerk. See that? And then it starts to work. So all these little tiny jerks I have to do in order to just operate my left arm. My right arm is gone. It's fully dysfunctional, right? But it does the same as my left arm. It's just that it's It's more dysfunctional. That's all. Okay. And so here I am with 85 to 90% dysfunction, gone through the VA, got a rating for my back, but did not get a rating for my brain because no one really knew at the time, between 2009, 2010, that I was having this TBI dysfunction. I have this TBI, central nervous dysfunction. It's a unique situation. It really is. It's a unique situation. It's a unique disability. It's like a MS. Okay. And so I'm stuck now. And I explained just a little bit ago in the intro that I have to abide by all these rules and regulations, which goes across the board with the VA. Across the board, it treats everybody the same, whether you're a combat veteran or you're a veteran that just joined and oh, you sprained your ankle. Okay, and you have not seen any combat. It applies to everyone, and so I'm in this purgatory. All right, I'm in this purgatory, and it's been 8 to 10 years that I've been dealing with it. And let me tell you guys, have I been dealing with it? What do you think I've been for 8 to 10 years? I've gone through it all. Okay, and the policy and the procedures was keeping me from moving forward. Right. The bad part about it. Here's the bad part. All right. The bad part about it is that the people that I deal with in the VA and even outside the VA, medical people outside the VA, it's the people that are disregarding, have been disregarding to my disability. Think about that. Think about it. The policies and procedures are already there to say, no, no, we need to work this through to see why you're having this difficulty, right? That's already there. That right there you cannot do anything about. I have to follow and abide by that rule. The policy procedure governing the Veteran Administration with my case. Now, the people that I had to deal with between 8 and 10 years that I've been dealing with, that's my problem. Okay? Think about it. What have they done for me to move me forward to address this TBI and central nervous dysfunction? I do not have a diagnosis for it. I am not getting treated for it. Okay? I am not getting treated for anything remotely close to having a central nervous system dysfunction. So you would think, outside of the policies and procedures, that someone with power, somebody would say, hey, you have a unique situation. The policies and procedures governing the Veteran Administration are keeping you from doing this, moving you forward. Plus, the people that are under that policy, that are working under it, are not going to understand what to do. So we need to advance you to another stage where you're going to be taken care of, where we're going to address this issue. The people have not done that, folks. The people you pay, you're paying them to take care of me. Okay? When you work hard and you go home and you're exhausted, that part of that money goes toward the Veteran Administration to help take care of people like me. Even address some of the issue to at least put me in that running, in that forward motion, right? That's what the VA is supposed to be about. Not, oh, we have a problem, and yeah, we have problems. We're the VA. No, 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 no. Negative. Everybody has problems. This isn't about acknowledging the problem. Oh, we have problems. Yeah, we go through the. No, it's about having a system that is clad proof to say, hey, look, people are stupid. People are effortless. When it comes to things to protecting your ass, you will protect it 110%. All right? This is what's frustrating to me. And I have every right to be frustrated with it because not one person in general, specifically doctors. I have a big problem with medical. I've learned so much about the medical field overall in our country. Just dealing with not having somebody, someone deal with my issue. This can has been kicked down the road for 8 to 10 years, folks. Right? I have complained and cried my heart out for 8 to 10 years, and I'm not doing it anymore. Right? So my central nervous system dysfunction, it's in a severe state. Right? It's been getting worse. It's been getting worse for 8 to 10 years, and who knows where it's going to go. It's a unique situation, and I would think, God bless you, Lord, I would think that somebody would take it and run with it and say, you know what, man, we could really make something of this. It could really benefit somebody. To say, look, I've helped this veteran. He's got a very unique situation, and I want to help him. So, and it's gonna give you attention. It's gonna give you whatever it is that you want to do with it. It's gonna help you help me, right? But not one person, you guys, not one. To this day, not one person has taken that initiative to help me move forward with what I need to deal with, what needs to be dealt with me. Not one. I am so disgusted with the medical field in this country. Our doctors. I just got fired, as a matter of fact. I'm gonna throw her name out there because she was useless to me. All right, Joanna Evans with Family Medical Care or something on Ina and La Choya. She fired me. Right? She fired me because I was outspoken. I was a troublemaker, basically. A veteran with a severe disability. Severe disability. Now, she could sit there and say it's a female. She could sit there and say, "Well, I just couldn't handle something like that." She's going to have a million excuses of why she fired me. She got rid of me as a client. I've been so frustrated with doctors. Right? Now, I'm not saying every doctor's that way, but the majority of them are. That's because I haven't had one doctor, not one, stretch his neck out for me and say, look, man, you got a unique situation, and that's why I'm a doctor. To help people like you, I'm not gonna, sell my house and advocate for you, but you know what? I have power. I have power to take care of things that I'm supposed to take care of. You took care of your issue as a soldier and came back this way. Right? Now what happens? Now what happens? I get medically neglected. That's what happens. I blame every single one of you doctors out there for not taking the initiative to even keep it moving in a narrative. You know, Somehow, talk to your buddy and say, look, this guy has a situation. Keep the narrative moving. It's a very unique situation, but every single doctor has passed it on. Everyone. And the VA is not totally to blame at all. And you guys know how this is. Once it gets started, the neglect. Once the can gets keep kicked down the road, it's very difficult to redirect that can. I understand it. I'm not a child, and neither are we. We people are not children. We understand that stuff. That's why we elect our dignitaries to take care of issues and keep this stuff alive. I don't know what's going to happen with me, folks. I really don't. All I know is day in and day out, I struggle. And it's not this typical struggle you guys wouldn't understand. All right. The depression is just vast. But in my character, naturally, in my character, God has given me, and for those that don't believe, just work with me, all right? God has given me this power to have a character, to have something like, hey, you're not going to beat me down. I have charisma. I'm the type of person like when I get hurt, I play it off a little. And there's a lot of people like that, right? We're all like that. And I've been doing that with a severe central nervous system dysfunction. I got pancreatitis. I don't know where that came from, but I'm assuming it has something tied in to do with my central nervous system. I have high blood pressure that, man, when I got back, the thing was so high, I have to be on medication the rest of my life. That has definitely got to be tied with my TBI. I had gotten blood clots in my lungs. Why? So I have definitely been mistreated in the VA, and God bless the VA. Like I said, you know, it's hard to vet V as in Victor. It's hard to vet doctors that you need to operate in a large government setting. It's very difficult, right? Most people, doctors that want to help veterans, are in, how can I say, they're in a position where they're maybe early retirement, going to be retired. Maybe it's just the path they need to take to slow down in their career. It's always those folks. It's never the Harvard graduate who just going to graduate and has all this energy and charisma and wants to help veterans. No, they're going to get their money and their time and their experience other ways because they have to work under the rules and regulations of a government operation. And they're not going to do that because it limits them. Right? Right. So that's the skinny of my situation is I have the central nervous system dysfunction. And I'll explain to you, you haven't been, can you please tell us what's going on with your face? Okay. So my face, I had a tooth pulled, the what do you call it? The wisdom tooth on the bottom, in the back. Well, I had mentioned out of the 8 to 10 years that I had been dealing with this dysfunction, I had mentioned to this dentist, this I think it was called Casas Adobes Dental, right, in Tucson. Hey, the VA is not going to advocate for me because they're already kicking this can down the road, so I have to advocate for myself. All right, they're not going to give details on something they are denying I have. They're not accepting, in other words, that I don't have a TBI because this can is already been is being kicked down the road, and nobody wants to not kick that road down that can because it's under policy and procedure. No one's going to do that, folks. All right. So I told this dentist, "Hey, I have a central nervous system dysfunction." What does that mean when you say that? It doesn't mean anything, folks. When you say it as a client, as a patient, I'm a veteran, it sounds like you're just saying something to, you know, boost your sensitivity of what you want done, right? Or like you're complaining about something, you don't know what you're talking about. Folks, I've been dealing with this for 10 years. I've been down the road more than enough times, right? And I'll try to give you a skinny of what I mean by that, as far as the mistreatment that I've been through. The dentist tried to give me laughing gas because to help with not to deal with the pain. But the laughing gas didn't work because I'm on opioids, right? And my tolerance is high. So when you're on opioids or some sort of medication like that, your tolerance goes up. So you need more in order to mask whatever it is you're trying to accomplish as a doctor. And I can't tell a doctor that because doctor's like, don't tell me what to do, right? And then when you do that, what happens? You become a very aggravated patient. You become unwilling to work with doctors, right? So the guy just yanked the tooth out of my skull, out of my jaw. It was terrible. I can hear it, creaking and cracking in there. Yeah. Again, I'm a trooper. You know, I don't like to complain about stuff that I think I can handle. Right? We're all like that. Some more than others. So, but I knew something was going to be wrong. I just don't know the extent of it because I've had it happen a few times with surgeries, but I just, I can't detail what's going to go bad and what's not going to go bad, right? What's going to happen. So he yanked it out, and the central nervous system with the pain was so drastic. You guys know, I had some pain. I know you do. I had some serious man. My I was starting to arch on the table, like I mean, come on, man, that's pretty bad, right? So he pulled it, and the central nervous system picked up on it, and it got rid of this some detailed function on my jaw area face, and that's what it does. The central nervous system with my TBI, and to back it up, I will tell you, I will support it with another instance. I had surgery here on this ulnar nerve. They cleaned it up because I was losing function of my fingers. And so I went into the VA and they cut it open and they cleaned it up in there. And guess what? I lost the function of the entire arm with other issues dealing with shoulder. And I was biking and that exhausted the shoulder. So it all blended in together. So now I have to really, move. It's like really flaccid. I got to really try to move it. And I can, again, I can, I can move it, but I have to jerk my body in order to get it to move, get the central nervous system, activated somehow or something. Something wrong in the brain, right, with the TBI. I can grip a little bit, so I go day by day doing all these little things, and sometimes it seems like I'm using it. I'm like, hey, no, you know. So that's what happened with my tooth. So now I have this, like I had a paralysis, I had a stroke or something. No, I did not have a stroke, folks. I've been down the road with being diagnosed with a stroke at Barrows Neurological Institute in Phoenix. Granted that the VA had sent me there as a referral. I, I can go on and on about all the instances. There is one instance I'd like to discuss that I have a problem with, and I believe this doctor needs to be dealt with. Okay, it's not a personal attack, but I was really mistreated in front of my wife, my spouse, and it was terrible. All right, Arizona Eye Consultants in Tucson. Arizona Eye Consultants, Doctor Asshole. That's who he was. I forget his name, but not a big deal. I went in there and he completely tried to demoralize my issue. He completely denied that I had a TBI. He also told my wife that I was faking all this paralysis that I was having. He says, when your husband is ready, he will move all his functions. That's what he told in front of me to my spouse. Kept calling me Jose. I took offense to that. Hey, Jose, thanks, honky. I was more stunned about being in the situation, but I didn't think I should explode, and deal with him because I really needed an evaluation. And he completely disregarded everything the VA sent him to do. But then again, the VA sent him under this policy and procedure. What do you think happened? Exactly. So this guy also was one out of two doctors that are a specialty in the United States Southwest area. It's He was a neurological, what they call him. Um, he I don't know, but anyhow, I get locked up in the brain. But he completely was one of two only in the Southwest of the United States that have this doctorate. That have that's a doctor in this way. It's like he was a neurological eye person. Yeah. So they sent me to him, and he used to work at the VA. I think he does every now and again, but completely, this guy was completely disrespectful. Okay, completely demoralizing to me. I already have depression, um, and disregarded anything that I was trying to explain to him. Didn't take any factors into account that it's a unique situation and he needs to adjust with his evaluation. Nothing. This guy was older. You would have thought that a seasoned doctor would say, "Hey, VA, I know you're sending him to me, but I have my own agenda and I'll do whatever I can." So he took the policy and procedure road, and then shot in a little bit of his opinion. Yeah, he didn't want to deal with me at all. It was a shame, and that doctor needs to be dealt with. Yeah, Jose, and your husband will, move his functions when he feels like it. There's nothing wrong with his legs. He can walk. He literally said that in front of me to my spouse. There's nothing wrong with your husband. So I'd like him to be addressed. Okay, definitely. So as far as the mistreatment goes, it goes hand in hand with all the various um, help that I've been trying to get along the way, 8 to 10 years. So 8 to 10 years, I've reached out to so many organizations. Okay, and um, I have contacted a lot of good organizations, but there's just not anything that any of these organizations can do to forward me to get the VA to properly assess me for the TBI, give me the TBI because that's what it is, and try to come up with a direct medical plan and departmental enrollment so I can start receiving care for TBI, maybe manage it too. Look, I'm not expecting a damn miracle, people. I don't give a shit. Okay, I already know what's to come of me. All I want is the proper procedure and the diagnosis of TBI so I can move forward. But I have to deal with all these people's attitudes, all these doctors' attitudes. I literally had people pick up my leg and let it go and hit the bottom of where the seat I was sitting on because they did not believe that I have a TBI, that I have these functions. Literally had a doctor say, "Hey, I saw you walk into this office when I was trying to get out of a wheelchair because my wheelchair wouldn't fit in their stupid little office, and I had to, maneuver to manipulate my way to get in their office, sit down. I saw you walk in here, man. Ha ha." I, had another person say, "Hey, well, how do you tie your shoes then? You're lying. Are you getting where I'm going?" I've had it all done, folks. I've been to ocular. I've been MRIs. Like you guys have wasted so much money on me. So much money on me. I don't know how many MRIs I've had. CAT scan, PET scan. Yeah, right. And there's justification for that under the policy and procedure of the VA. That's where I'm sitting. I'm in the purgatory where they control the narrative right now. I have not had one person come over and say, "I'm going to kick all your guys' asses. What's the matter with you treating this guy like this? Can't you see has this dysfunction?" No, I have not had one person with the authority to take care of me. I've been arrested at the VA because I'm outspoken, right? I've been battling it for 8 to 10 years, folks. 8 to 10 years. You know, I've had every opinion thrown my way. Even my own unit, my army unit that I toured with, where I sustained these things, they're a bunch of assholes. I didn't join the military to make friends. I joined the military to take care of my service. A lot of them didn't like that because they're stupid. They're already negative on my situation. No, 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 no. You know, yeah, and that's aside from the medical community literally disregarded through the medical community outside the VA referral. I even have my TRICARE for life, and tried to do it myself without the VA being involved. Yeah, but what happens, people? This is what happens. Okay, I'm gonna tell you what happens. You need records. I can't just walk in there with this disability and say, "Hey, I need you guys to give me an evaluation, and you're gonna like it." A doctor's gonna say, "Wait, stop, hold on. I need some, who the hell are you?" Right? I'm in a severe state that I am. They're gonna want some records. So where do they get the records from? You're right, the VA. And what happens when they get the records at the VA? While the narrative is suppressing my situation, it's not being dealt with, right? And then I have to deal with these dumb, educated people that have all the solutions, have all the way to protect their jobs, their asses, and say, "Well, oh, this is the way, this is what's going on," and they know that they're going to be heard. They have the podium, people. I do not have the podium. That's why I'm here talking on this stuff, right? Right. And I'm telling you, there's a bad situation that people haven't addressed in the VA. Everybody's like, "Oh yeah, we're controlling the hiring, and you can fire people." That's all fine, people. That's all great, but there's a systemic issue, and people know that there's a systemic issue. We just can't point it out. We just can't, like, man, what is it that's really disturbing the VA? It's my situation. If you get into my situation and you look at all the disregarding, all the mismanagement, all the medical, malfeasance and all that stuff that's been going on in my case, it's going to hurt people. People are going to be affected by it, right? It's going to change policy. If you change policy and procedure, you change people's jobs. I'm not saying that it's going to be a big deal, but if you want to know what the systemic issue is, I'm part of it. I'm part of the systemic issue that needs to be addressed, or I would have been taken care of already. Is it that hard to believe, people, that losing 85 to 90% of my function, fine motor skills, that I just picked this up, some tick bite, some tick bit me. I've been through that. Some mental issue. I've been thrown on the couch several times. Oh no, he ain't right. Oh, I know I'm not right. Right? What is it? So I need some help, people. I need some serious help. I need somebody. I have gotten with some. I can't say exactly what it is, but I have gotten some help to try to help me. But I just don't know if it's going to work, right? And so I've been seriously mistreated through the VA with, people's doctors, especially doctors, uh, mismanagement of my situation, literally. When I bring it up now, I get completely ignored. Oh yeah, that's great. How about if we send you to go get an MRI? Oh, out of the 35, 50 MRIs I've already had, that's the solution to their addressing my issue, right? So, the VA has this typical, or it's this policy. I don't know if it's a policy, but it's some sort of um, rule that says if it looks like a duck and it sounds like a duck, what do you think it is? It's a duck because they're in the right position to deal with those kind of things, especially with veterans going overseas and fighting and having these unique diseases and all this stuff. Right there, exactly. That's what they do. So this application of it being a duck has to apply to me, and it has not. It's been disregarded as I've been disregarded as no application is going to help me. Right. I'm telling you, people, I've been down the road a few times. What you're thinking, I've done it. I've been to many, many organizations to try to help me out. I'm dealing with a unique situation, folks, and that's why it's not being addressed. No organization is going to be able to help it out. Trust me, I've been through it. I've got private stuff. I've gone through some organizations that seem like, ooh, iffy and like, wow, But I've even gone through an organization, GOA, whatever, the government assistance people who work in the VA to try to help veterans out directly and say, this is how you need to file it. If you get denied, this is how you appeal it. They walk you through it. They can't help me, right? I try to ask for a medical change of medical diagnosis, and I even got denied a TBI. They won't do it. They're completely denying it. I have no people in the leadership to help me. I've been through the politicians. I did stuff for Martha McSally. She wasn't able to help me because she wasn't able to address issues as she, didn't couldn't move forward with her career. I started with who was it? Democrat here. Oh my goodness, I forget his name, but it was way back in 2000 and 9, 10. I've been through several. John McCain, God bless his soul. The Scorpion Queen. That's what was her name? Our governor. Yeah, I forget. Wrote some Democrats, wrote some Republicans. I've been down the road, folks. The one of the latest things I've done was I called the department for veterans in the White House. The committee that deals with veteran issues in Washington, the White House. This committee where these elected officials sit on this committee and they help veterans. But I called them and I left a detailed message with somebody who answered the phone and said they would get with one of these officials and have them call me or email me or something. I haven't received a damn thing from them. And these are my same brothers who've lost legs overseas, and I haven't received anything. Not one. Not one of them has called or addressed me. If you don't want to talk, send an email. If you don't want to email, text. Say, hey, I'm sorry, but something. I had no correspondence whatsoever. I called the White House. Right? Yeah. Been down the road, folks. VFWs. Uh, like I don't even want to hear the name VFW anymore. You know, DAV, Paralyzed Veterans America. I've written them, on online. I've called some of them over the 8 to 10 years. Right? Hey, I have a unique situation. Maybe you guys can help me out. Nothing. Zero. No one. Well, I tell you guys, I want some accountability. I want this issue to be addressed, and I want people to recognize the situation I've been through, and that the systemic issue that everybody's dealing with. I'm part of that systemic issue, right? So I don't know how much further it's going to, be that I can't, how bad it's going to get. But on our next episode of a podcast that I'm going to do, I'll go into details of more of the disability that's affecting me. And from time to time, it's hard for me to do this stuff because I get really depressed. It just naturally does it. I'm addicted to opioids. Yeah, I'm addicted to opioids, but I'd rather be addicted to opioids and feel better about myself than deal with depression all the time. And then, you don't know what's going to happen, right? Just don't. But when I have opioids, I feel better. Like not high or anything. I feel normal because when you have I did the research on it already, folks. When you have, it's not an excuse. When you have, it does feel good when you're on opioids. I admit it. It feels good. Right? And this is another issue that I'll deal with, the opioid crisis, and I'll deal with. We'll discuss that some other time. But right now, it really puts me in a state of I just feel like I have energy. I did some research, and if you have a TBI, a lot of folks with TBIs have problem with dopamine and serotonin and stuff. It doesn't properly work when you usually have TBIs or MS. People have it. A lot of depression going on there, and you'll be surprised of what dopamine, serotonin, all that stuff does for you naturally in your body. It just doesn't make you feel good. Okay, people, it works motor functions. It does all kinds of stuff in your body that I was thinking, man, I did not know that's what it did. But that's what it does, and that's what has been helping me. It's been keeping me straight. Afloat. And I got addiction. I don't care for the addiction. It's necessary for me to be on that. And I've been having trouble getting it also because I don't have a diagnosis. I don't have a medical plan. And so I don't know how bad it's going to get, but the next podcast I will discuss it. But I definitely, if you guys pass this video on, please pass it on. Let's see if we get some dumb educated people, some dumb educated doctors to respond. I'm sure I'm going to get Oh, well, have you tried, have you tried the vegetables and, I'll get all kinds of stuff, folks. I'm telling you, work with me. I've been around the block more than a few times. This is literally, folks, a disregard to my medical care. Okay? Disregard to my medical management. All right? And I'm under the systemic problem that the nation is having, and it's not being addressed. Okay? I don't need some people to get fired. I don't need that. I don't need that, but I need people to address my situation, give me my benefits that I deserve, give me my change of medical, the TBI. God bless, give me some sort of medication to slow this down. You know, give me my Purple Heart. TBI is automatic Purple Heart. Give me my back pay, anything I deserve to have. I'm falling apart, folks. And no one gives a shit. No one gives a damn. I know it because it's been 8 to 10 years. Literally, front of my face, doctors. No, no, no. That's what I've been through. What's going to happen? Who's going to step up? I can tell you guys, if you make something of my situation, it will take off. Okay? It could be a benefit for everyone because it's something that really needs to be dealt with, right? Whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, independent, I don't care. It needs to be grabbed, taken care of, and somebody's going to benefit from it because I'm gonna make sure that the accountability is going to be taken care of. All right, it's a bunch of bullshit that doctors are disregarding. I am not afraid of a doctor. Like I said, I just got fired. I was trying to fire her, but she fired me. Yeah, she didn't want to deal with me no more. Joanna Evans, poor. Don't go to her. People in Tucson. I don't care. Well, you can't do that. Yeah, I can. I sure can. Right? Oh, but she's smarter than me, so I have. I don't. I here's doctor. Here's me. Right? How can I possibly be of motivation to make people understand if when I'm not a doctor? We regard doctors as our best people in the country, right? They're the most educated, they are the most respected, they are everything that we want in a society to have. They are doctors that are understanding. Well, doctors are full of shit. Okay, they hide behind lots of things. And if you're a person like me who likes to challenge a doctor, it's not going to be good for you, folks. And that's what I've been going through. So on this podcast, we'll call it an end on it. I'm trying to, but I really do need people to forward this and get it moving so that way I can have this addressed and then I could be at ease of having it being taken care of, and then I can move forward with advocating for a better VA. Support the VA in a better light. Because I'm that kind of person. I give credit where credit's due. The VA needs it. All right. So thank you all for listening. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and end this podcast, but bless all you guys. And I wanted to address the politician issue, and I don't know if I can, but I do have a I'll just make it real brief. I have a theory. It's not so much a theory. I think it's a real thing. Our politicians, they they have when they become politicians, they have benefits. All right, they are subject to, um, you know, not, how can I say it? They are not subject to the typical citizen to under which they um, um, to under which they have to, or under which they have been elected by the people. In other words, politicians have benefit. They have, um, they're not subject to certain law, sort of. I wouldn't say law. They're not above the law, but there's certain things that don't apply to them. They can get away with certain things. They have a leniency. They have leverage, and they have all the stuff that they're able to use to as being politicians, you know. And a lot of people don't know that. They don't want to know it. They think that these politicians are just bare. They don't have anything subject to hurting them, like they have, or I mean, they don't, that they're bare as a baby, that they don't have any protections. They don't have. Oh no, they do. They got more than you would think. Okay, and so I want to address that because it's a big issue. It's a big issue on how you think about your elected officials. It's a big issue, and I want to address that. Okay, because I've learned over the years of dealing with my medical situation, I had to run into some of these political issues, and I ran into our political dignitaries, you know, and the people with the power are the people that I'm looking for to help me, and some of them are these politicians, and I have not gotten the help, folks. So I did some research on it, and I've learned a lot about politicians' status. Okay, we will expose that, and that way I can help educate not just myself but other folks and let them know. It'd be nice if we could vet our politicians a lot better, whether you like them or you don't. It'd be nice. All right, so let's cut this cry. Please pass on my situation. I need help desperately. I need it now. I need stuff addressed. I need somebody that has cojones to get a hold of me. My email is marco.adeleon, the number one, at gmail.com. Marco.adeleon, Marco.adeleon, the number one, at gmail.com. All right? Have him get with me, please. Please, please, please. And that way, I could take care of this situation, and we can address as a nation what's going on with this systemic issue that the VA has. Okay, and other departments. All right, I'm a realist. I want to get this stuff on the books. I want to get it done. I want to hold people accountable for it, and I want to move forward. All right, thank you very much. And we will chat with you guys again. God bless you guys. Take care of your health, and we'll talk again.